Hi, today we're going to look at philosophy and the Philosophers Way. Philo, love, and Sophia, wisdom, is the root of the word philosophy and its definition. But philosophy is really a dynamic journey that begins in wonder. Wonder about the world, the nature of reality, the nature of morality, knowledge, truth, art, science, religion, and any other human endeavor. The Philosopher's Way is based in critical thinking, reasoning to question, analyze, make sense of the natural world and life's mysteries. Pre-Socratic philosophers were the first to really use reasoning about the natural world. Socrates, however, examined virtue and morality with philosophy. Socrates' famous saying was, "The unexamined life is unworth living." Examining common assumptions and beliefs of his day through questioning earned Socrates the reputation of a gadfly. He disturbed the peace in Athens, which ultimately led to his trial and death, which we'll explore in chapter 2. Logic is a tool of philosophy. It's a study of valid reasoning, central also to critical thinking. Logical arguments begin with premises or reasons that support conclusions. In deductive arguments, an argument can yield validity of conclusions when they necessarily follow from the premise. However, inductive reasoning is more like science. It's based on causal analysis, causal reasoning, empirical observation that require independent confirmation. Inductive reasoning is hypothetical and subject to changes with theoretical understanding as well as observations of what's out there. So inductive arguments don't really yield validity, but they can be described as strong or weak, whereas deductive arguments yield validity, much as in mathematical formulas. Some traditional branches of philosophy, in addition to logic, are metaphysics, which is the study of reality, the nature of the natural world. Epistemology, the study of knowledge. What are its limits? What is the difference between knowledge and belief? The study of ethics or moral values. It's also referred to as axiology. This was the focus of Socrates' philosophy. Political and social philosophies, another major branch which studies social truths, social values, justice. This was a focus of Socrates as well as Plato in his Republic. Aesthetics is a very important area of philosophy that the ancients covered also, which was based on truth in the arts and what constitutes taste in the aesthetic judgment. Other areas of philosophy include science, religion, and almost every academic discipline imaginable. Perhaps in your introduction, you discussed your philosophy of life. So philosophy also relates to our personal lives and what makes up the meaning of life. So the axial age was a fantastic period of time, about the first millennial BC. And in particular, in the 6th century BC, the human race went through an enlightenment, both spiritually and intellectually, around the world. For instance, in China, Confucius and Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoism, emerged. In India, Hinduism, the epics, the Upanishads are written. And in northern India, Siddhartha Gautama, commonly known as the Buddha, was born. In Iran, Zarathustra began the first monotheistic religion, distinguishing good and evil as a battlefield. And in Palestine, the new Abrahamic tradition was emerging with the Hebrew God, which would later become the God of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In the Greek world, however, the pre-Socratics were beginning to use reason to answer questions about the natural world. Some of the pre-Socratics, they were searching for what is the enduring substance behind the changing world of appearances. Thales, for instance, was the first to really use astronomical observations as well as mathematics to predict an eclipse. Thales thought water was the enduring substance of life. Anaximenes, air. Heraclitus saw fire, And Heraclitus made the observation that one cannot step in the same river twice because the water is always changing. So Heraclitus was very much like Buddha in seeing the world as constant change and flux. Democritus saw the world as made up of atoms, individual atoms or indivisible particles. Anaxagoras saw matter in motion, making up reality. And finally, Pythagoras, one of the pre-Socratics, saw mathematics and numbers as the key to understanding the cosmos. So the pre-Socratics, in a way, were the first philosophers of science, first scientists that used reason to explain the world, whereas Socrates took philosophy a different direction, into human value and justice and truth. An oracle of Delphi in Delphi proclaimed Socrates to be the wisest of all men. Yet Socrates said, "I know nothing." Socrates himself sought out other people to disprove the oracle of Delphi. So he started a method in the streets of Athens as asking questions. The Socratic method was one of questioning, examining definitions, and for further analysis, which often led to refutation of commonly held assumptions. Socrates was one to question authority, and in the questioning of authorities, he made students follow him, and also made a number of enemies, which led to his inevitable trial. Socrates did not write, but his student Plato recorded all of his dialogues. One of the famous dialogues, called the Apology, describes Socrates' trial and his defense. Socrates was accused of corrupting the youth of Athens and not believing in the divinities of the state. A jury of 501 citizens were already prejudiced against Socrates. They had watched Aristophanes' comic play The Clouds, which satirized Socrates as a kind of a lunatic with his head in the clouds. Socrates became the first martyr to philosophy and a model for the Philosophers' Way. He advocated rational inquiry in pursuit of truth and wisdom. Now it's your turn to further examine philosophy and the Philosopher's Way in chapters 1 and 2.